Funny thing about certain women, you throw the worst at them, lies, betrayal, manipulation, and they just won't break. Oh, they might bend, they might stumble, but crack, collapse, no. It's like something or someone always steps in, not loudly, not with thunder or lightning, but just enough to shift the storm away. You ever seen that? A woman walking through hell like she's been there before and came back with the map? They always think they're clever, don't they? The schemers, the smooth talkers, the ones who walk into her life thinking this one's just like the rest. They flash the charm, rehearse the lines, throw on that mask they've worn 100 times before. But with her, something happens. The game doesn't play the way it used to. The script doesn't land. The moves don't move her. And before they even know what went wrong, they're showing their hand too soon. Cards on the table, masks slipping, cracks forming. Not because she cornered them, no. Because something around her, in her, pulls the truth out like poison from a wound. See, evil can hide in plain sight with most people. It thrives in silence and shadow, in the benefit of the doubt, but not with her. She doesn't even have to do anything. It's just her presence, the way she looks at you, like she already knows, like she's seen this movie 100 times and already knows how it ends. And that look, it makes them nervous, makes their words stumble, makes their lies come out a little too fast, a little too eager. They start talking too much, explaining things she never asked about. That's the first sign. Evil gets loud around her. It panics in the presence of discernment. And what's worse for them? She doesn't react. Not how they expect. No dramatics. No accusations. Just silence. Stillness. The kind that makes people unravel, because when someone's used to chaos, used to manipulating emotions and feeding off confusion, that calm, that unnerves them. It makes them feel seen in a way they don't want to be. They can't handle being studied, picked apart. 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 They can already be studied. They can already be studied and burned it. She doesn't need to expose them. They do it themselves. Give them enough rope. They'll tangle themselves up just fine. That's the thing about people with dark intentions. They can't stay hidden for long when the light's too strong. And her light? It's not the soft, flickering kind. It's sharp, surgical, cuts right through the nonsense and leaves the truth bare and shivering. The ones who thought they could control her, they end up revealing their own weakness, their desperation, their rot, because they don't expect resistance without conflict. They don't understand power without aggression. But her protection isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't throw punches. It exposes. And when they get caught, when their masks fall, they always play the victim. That's the next step. You misunderstood me. You're too sensitive. I was only joking. They scramble, backpedal, blame. But it's too late, because once she sees the pattern, once that veil lifts, there's no unseeing it. And now, they are uncomfortable. They want out, not because they're done, but because they can't win. Because evil hates exposure more than anything. It feeds on confusion, on trust, on benefit of the doubt, but with her, it starves. People wonder how she does it, how she always knows. They call it luck, call it paranoia, but it's neither. It's protection. Not the kind you wear, not the kind you fight for. It's built in, woven into her steps, her silence, her eyes. She doesn't need to fight to survive. The evil ones fight themselves when they get too close. They implode, collapse under the weight of their own lies, because her presence won't let them rest, won't let them coast, won't let them pretend. And here's the best part. They always think this time will be different, that she won't notice, that she's too kind, too quiet, too soft to catch on. But what they mistake for softness is stability. What they think is innocence is insight, and by the time they realize the difference, it's already too late. The exposure's already happened, the damage, self-inflicted. Because that's what happens when you try to play evil in the presence of someone who's not just protected, but watched over. And no, she doesn't brag about it. Doesn't need to. Her track record speaks loud enough. Look at the ones who left, the ones who fumbled, the ones who swore they had her all figured out, until their own darkness betrayed them, until their own lies tangled them up. She didn't destroy them. She didn't even raise her voice. They did it all on their own. Because when evil meets protection, it can't corrupt. It panics. It spirals. It crashes. Not because she fought back, but because she never had to. Intuition. You ever met someone with that kind of sixth sense? The kind that knows what's going on even when no one says a word? That's the thing about evil people. They love a good secret. They think they can operate in the shadows, that they can pull the wool over someone's eyes, throw out their lies like a magician pulling rabbits from a hat. But they never account for one little thing. Some people, the right people, don't need to see the trick. They just know. And that's what terrifies the manipulators. That's what keeps them up at night. It's not that she's suspicious, oh no. She doesn't sit around paranoid waiting for the next betrayal. She doesn't have to. Because her intuition isn't based on fear. It's based on clarity. She can feel it. The subtle shifts in a conversation. The way someone's voice cracks just a little too much. The smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. It's the little things that most people miss. But not her. She catches them all. Every flicker, every tell, every shift in the wind. They think they're slick, don't they? They think they can play their little games, pull the strings without anyone noticing. But what they don't realize is that a woman like her sees through the facade before the curtain even rises. They might try to manipulate her with kind words or empty promises, but she's already seen the pattern. The lies, they're loud. The silence between the words, even louder. And that's the thing. They underestimate her ability to read the room. She's not guessing. She's not assuming. She's knowing. And that knowledge makes her dangerous to anyone who thrives on deception. But how does she do it? How does she always know? Is it some divine gift, some supernatural power? No, it's just that she doesn't waste her energy on games. She doesn't waste her time with people who don't respect her. She doesn't play the maybe they'll change game. She doesn't hope for the best. She knows people will show their true selves eventually, and when they do, it's always in the details. It's the tiny things they think no one notices, the way they avoid her gaze when they tell a lie, the hesitation in their voice when they make a promise they have no intention of keeping. She doesn't need to be told what's going on. She's always 10 steps ahead, not because she's better, but because she's aware. Awareness is her shield, and the more they try to twist things, the more they dig their own graves. The more they manipulate, the more she pulls away, not because she's scared, but because she knows they're already lost. The minute they started lying, they lost. And it doesn't matter how many masks they put on, how many smiles they flash, how many apologies they offer. The second they show their hand, they've already lost the game. And she knows it. She just doesn't need to rub it in their faces. Manipulators, they thrive on uncertainty. They want you to doubt yourself. They want to keep you questioning your own instincts, your own gut feelings, until you're so twisted up in their lies that you don't even know what's real anymore. But that's not her. She trusts herself. She trusts that inner voice, that small, quiet knowing that tells her when something's off, when something's wrong. And because she trusts that voice, because she never ignores it, the lies never take hold. They just slide off her like water on oil. And you know what the worst part is? They can see it. They see the way she doesn't flinch when they lie. They see the way she doesn't beg for their approval, doesn't cling to their empty promises. And that makes them panic, because they can't play the game if the rules aren't the same. They can't manipulate someone who won't play along. And the more they try, the more she pushes back without even lifting a finger. Her silence, her calm, her unwavering certainty in herself becomes their prison. They can't manipulate someone who's already seen through the mask. And that, my friends, is why they'll always lose. Because evil, it can't stand still. It needs to move, it needs to twist, it needs to feed off doubt, off confusion, off the chaos it creates. But when you're dealing with someone whose intuition is sharper than a razor, someone who can spot a lie from a mile away, you might as well be fighting against a mirror. And mirrors, they don't lie, they don't bend, they just reflect. And when you look into one long enough, you see yourself. And when she looks into the mirror of deception, she sees right through it. It's like the fabric of the lie is thinner than they ever realized, and once it's torn, it's over. Oh, they all think they're doing her a favor, don't they? Giving her advice, pushing their own plans on her, telling her how she should live, who she should love, what she should care about. They say, you need this, you need that, like they're doing her a service, like they're looking out for her. But what they don't get, what they'll never understand, she doesn't need any of it. Not from them, not from anyone. You see, the funny thing about people who try to control others is they always forget one simple truth. Control doesn't work on someone who doesn't need their approval. And that drives them insane. You know the type, right? They walk into a room like they're the ones who hold all the cards, like they can sway the world to their will. But they can't control someone who's already walked away from their expectation. And it pisses them off. Oh, it pisses them off real good. Because here's the thing, when someone truly understands their worth, when they really know who they are and what they deserve, the strings that other people try to pull, whether it's guilt, manipulation, or some fake sense of obligation, don't mean anything. They don't even register. They try to sell you their opinion, their advice, their version of what you should be, but you don't buy it. You don't need it. And that's where they lose their power. They don't have any leverage, because they can't hold something over you when you've already let it go. And isn't that just the most frustrating thing for people who thrive on control? They think they can tell her what to do. They think they can shape her decisions, mold her into something that fits into their perfect little box of acceptable. They want her to listen to their wisdom, to adopt their rules, to abide by their standards. But when she doesn't, when she listens to herself instead of their empty rhetoric, that's when they get desperate. That's when the cracks start showing. Because if she doesn't need their approval, then what does that make them? Irrelevant, invisible, useless. And people who base their entire existence on being needed, they don't like to feel irrelevant. Not one bit. So what do? They turn the tables. They make her out to be difficult, unreasonable, stubborn. Why won't she just listen, they ask, like she owes them something. But what they really mean is, why won't she bend to my will? Because let's face it, the moment she stops bending, that's the moment they lose their grip. The moment they stop having any say in her life, and that's when they pull out the big guns. The guilt trips, the manipulation, the subtle attempts to make her feel bad for not being what they want. But here's the beauty of it all. She doesn't fall for it. Not anymore. She's seen it before. The games, the tricks, the good advice that isn't good for her at all, but good for whoever's giving it. And she doesn't have time for it. She doesn't owe anyone anything. She doesn't owe anyone a part of herself just to make them comfortable. She doesn't have to conform, doesn't have to shrink herself to fit the mold they created for her, and that makes her a force to be reckoned with. The more they push, the more she pulls away. The harder they try to make her feel small, the bigger she becomes, and it infuriates them, doesn't it? Because they can't understand it. How can someone be so unaffected? How can she stand there, impervious to their words, their judgments, their unsolicited advice? It's simple, really. She's free. And freedom, that's the thing no one can take from you once you truly claim it. She doesn't need to scream to be heard. She doesn't need to beg to be respected. She doesn't need to prove a damn thing. And when people realize that, when they see that she isn't waiting for their approval to validate her existence, that's when they start to crack. That's when they start showing their true colors, throwing tantrums, accusing her of being selfish, unreasonable, or worse. Difficult. But difficult is only a word they use for people who don't fit into their vision of how things should be. And honestly, she's okay with that. She doesn't need to fit into their vision. She's building her own. And here's the kicker. When you don't need people to tell you how to live, when you're not waiting for anyone's permission to take up space, those people who once thought they had control, they become nothing more than background noise. They're irrelevant. They can shout and scream, try to make you feel guilty, but you've already tuned them out. Because she's already tuned in to herself. And when you're in tune with who you are, nothing else matters. Not their judgments, not their advice, not their opinions. You don't need them. You never did. And that, my friends, is why they can't handle her. Chaos, now that's the funny part, isn't it? The people who think they can create it, control it, use it like a tool to tear down what they don't like, what they can't understand. They think they're clever, don't they? But chaos isn't some wild thing that can be tamed. No. It's a force, a living, breathing thing. And when it tries to consume her, it turns. It folds right back in on itself. That's the thing about her. Chaos can't thrive in her presence. Not like it does with others. It tries to make a mess of her life, throw her off balance, throw in a little disharmony here and there, but every time, every damn time, it ends up biting back. It devours the ones who try to send it her way. You ever seen it? The way chaos picks its targets? The people who thrive in it, who feed off it, who need it to feel alive? They love to watch someone stumble, watch them fall, watch the fabric of their life unravel like an old sweater being pulled apart thread by thread. That's the thrill, isn't it? Watching someone else struggle, watching someone else burn. But what they don't realize is that when they send that chaos her way, it's like sending a tornado into a brick wall. It doesn't get through. Oh, it may rattle the wall, shake things up a little, but that's it. It's over before it even begins. And that just drives them wild because they don't understand why it doesn't stick. They don't understand why the storm they've created isn't pulling her under. They watch from the sidelines as their little storm clouds swirl above her head, waiting for the inevitable crash, waiting for her to break. But it never comes. Instead, what they see, the storm turns on them. The chaos they thought was going to destroy her, it doesn't just fizzle out. It finds its way back. It eats away at them. They thought they were the ones pulling the strings, didn't they? They thought they were the ones with the power, the ones who could create the perfect storm and sit back while she got swept up in it. But they forgot one thing. They're not in control of the storm. They're not the ones pulling the thunder and lightning. They're just standing in the middle of it when it all comes crashing down. And when it crashes down, it's not her who's buried beneath the rubble. No, it's them. Now they scramble. Oh, how they scramble, don't they? They didn't plan for this. They didn't expect the chaos to turn to consume them the way it did. They didn't think the storm would hit them instead of her. But that's the funny part. Chaos doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't play favorites. It's like a wild beast, and when you try to control it, you only end up getting devoured by it. And that's what happens when they send their mess into her life. It doesn't break her. It doesn't tear her down. No, it turns. And it's them who are left standing in the ruins of their own making. It's them who feel the weight of every lie, every bit of malice they tried to sow. It's them who pay the price for trying to use chaos as a weapon. And it's not just the little things, the small fires they set, the little games they play. It's the big things too. The betrayals, the manipulations, the outright attacks. They think they've got it figured out. They think they can handle whatever she's going through. But the truth is, they've already lost the moment they tried. They might not know it yet, but the storm is coming for them, and when it hits hard. They thought they were clever, creating chaos in her world, but they didn't realize it was already written in the stars that the storm would end up ripping through their lives instead. And that's when it gets fun. Because once the storm has done its work, once the chaos has unraveled the lies, once the dust settles, it's like nothing ever happened. She's standing there, calm as ever, unshaken, unaffected. And the chaos, well, it's already consumed them. And you know what? They can't even understand it. They try to analyze it, try to figure out how it happened. They'll blame everything else, the stars, the timing, luck, but they'll never get it. They'll never get why she's standing there, untouched, while their little game of chaos comes back to bite them in the ass. And That's the point, isn't it? They thought they were in control. They thought they could break her. They thought they could ruin her life with a little well-timed chaos. But the joke's on them, because chaos doesn't break her, it destroys them. It always destroys them. And that's the best part. The part they'll never see coming. Ah, the critics. The ones who sit on the sidelines and point their fingers, throw their stones, try to tear apart everything they can't understand. The ones who think they have the right to judge, to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. Oh, they're everywhere, aren't they? They've always been there. The ones who look at someone else's success, their happiness, their confidence, and can't stand it. They can't handle it. They want to drag you down to their level because that's the only way they can feel better about themselves. They're the ones who believe they have the authority to dissect your life, to tell you where you went wrong, what you need to change, who you need to be. But the funny part, they never see you. They never see the person you've become. They only see the shadow, the projection of their own insecurities, bouncing off of you like a cracked, and when you shine too brightly for them to ignore, they can't take it. They crumble. They collapse under the weight of their own judgment, and they try to crush everything they can't control. But the thing is, the louder they scream, the stronger you stand. They throw their hate, their judgments, their bitter little words like rocks. But what they don't realize is that you're made of something stronger than their petty criticisms. Their whispers, oh, they mean nothing. Their attacks, they only make you laugh. They're so busy pointing fingers at you that they miss the fact that their own lives are falling apart. They're too consumed with your every move, your every success, to notice how miserable they are. And you know why? Because their entire existence is based on tearing others down, on judging those they don't understand, on trying to feel important by belittling those who don't fit into their narrow worldview. But here's the thing they'll never get. You don't need to prove anything to them. They want you to react. They want you to get angry, to scream back, to get involved in their little game of who's better than who. But the beauty of it, you don't play by their rules. You don't need their approval, their validation, their expert opinions. You don't care what they think because their opinions are meaning. The more they criticize, the more they reveal about themselves. And that's the funny part, isn't it? They think they're tearing you down, but all they're doing is exposing their own flaws, their own fears, their own failure to build anything of their own. They're just looking for someone else to break, someone else to lower themselves to their level so they don't feel so small in comparison. And what do? You keep moving. You keep pushing forward. You keep growing. Because the more they try to tear you down, the more you rise. The more they try to drag you into their toxic little world, the more you pull away. And you know what? They can't handle it. They can't stand it. The fact that you won't stoop to their level drives them absolutely crazy. They don't understand why you don't break. They don't understand why their little attacks don't work. Why? Because you don't let them. You don't let anyone have the power to affect your life, to make you doubt yourself, to question your worth. That's the power they'll never have, no matter how loud they shout. You see, they want to control you. They want to make you feel small, insignificant, like you're just a cog in their broken machine. But you're not. You're not a cog. You're not a puppet. You're a force all on your own. And when they try to take you down, when they try to knock you off course, they only reveal their own lack of power. Because real power, real strength, it doesn't come from tearing others down. It comes from standing tall when everyone else is crumbling. It comes from walking through the fire without flinching. It comes from being you when they want you to be something else. And that is something they'll never understand. So they'll keep talking, they'll keep gossiping, keep whispering, keep throwing their stones, and that's fine. Let them drown in their own misery. Because the more they do it, the more they expose themselves for the weak, pathetic little creatures they are. They want to bring you down. They want to tell you who you should be. Fine. Let them waste their time. Meanwhile, you'll be out here, living your life, creating your own path, finding your own happiness. And the louder they get, the more obvious it becomes. They can't stand that you're still standing. They can't handle that you didn't break. They can't stand that no matter what they do, no matter what they say, you're still here, still moving forward. And when it all comes down to it, when the dust settles, they'll be the ones left in the wreckage of their own anger, their own bitterness, and you'll be exactly where you were meant to be, unscathed, undefeated, and better than ever.